Welcome to Team Building Cultures, the podcast designed to deliver tools and tips for improving team communication, collaboration, and fostering a culture where teams thrive. Now, here's your host, Beverly Hathorn, owner of Strategic HR Consultants.
Hello, listeners, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Team Building Cultures. Today, I am very, very excited to be speaking with Ron and Marty Cooper. Ron and Marty have been married for 55 years now. That's probably longer than some of you guys have been on this earth, but Ron and Marty have been married for 55 years, and they say that they're very different and compatible and complementary ways, which is what I would suggest is great for, a wonderful team, a functional team. And organizations hire Ron and Marty to advance their staff to greater loyalty and trust. Today, they're going to talk to us about living to our God-designed potential and help us understand how to get over ourselves. Some of the things that we'll learn from Ron and Marty today are how to identify the values of lasting relationships of an effective team. I would say they would have to be experts on that. And how to interview to find those people who complement your team. And of course, we're going to talk about employing DISC to identify personality traits. So as a certified DISC facilitator and trainer, I'm eager to speak about that. And they're going to talk about the leadership traits that keep effective teams together and producing. So Ron and Marty, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the show. Let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you work together as a team. This is wonderful to see a team effort.
Thank you, Beverly. I somewhat frequently start out talking unless Marty hammers me on the leg, and I know then that Marty wants to start out talking. But that's just a little bit of difference in our personalities, that I am on a DISC scale. I'm a DI, meaning I'm a dominant but inspiring type of person. And for those that are familiar with DISC, I am above the line, meaning outgoing. I will tell you, Beverly, to you and your audience, I have not always been this way. There was another story about my life in the beginnings because of different things, and I've had to look back on it and wonder why I was very introverted, did not want to speak out, and it's because I had processed some information from my father, I believe, no intent to blame, but it's just the way things were, that I believed I was dumb and stupid, and I've never asked a question because that would confirm just how stupid I am. So I was, for a while, the very reserved, reticent person, wouldn't say a word. And I have come out of that, and I say somewhat jokingly, I'm making up for lost time now. But Marty, on a DISC scale, she'll tell you about it, but she is an SCI. She is more reserved than I am. She is not as comfortable being out in front as I am, but the two of us actually function in very complementary ways. I am a self-diagnosed ADHD person, and Marty will help keep me focused. What about it, Marty?
Yes, I grew up on a farm and times were tough. So my parents were not as rich as some other people, but I still had, as you say, you had a roof over your head, a bed to sleep in, and shoes on your feet and clothes on your back. So they did the best they could. And I was not the smartest person in school, but that's okay. I feel like I have accomplished things that I didn't think I could. But as far as my personality, yes, I am an SCI. I love being organized. And so Ron is a D, he needs that. So, so I tell him I will organize him, and he's got to listen to me too. But we do complement each other in very good ways, where he's very outgoing. I wish I could be a little more like that, but I'm not. So we just take it for that. And he helps me think through things a lot. And I can always go to him in spiritual matters. I can go to him and have a different perspective than maybe would be right. But he's very, very accommodating.
Awesome. I can see how your two styles will complement each other. And it's sort of like we say in rowing a boat. We've got to, all be on the same, we don't hold the same oar, but we've all got to be on the same page, and I feel that I'm getting that from you guys, that when you come together to process a project or take care of an issue, that you both bring your complementary styles to the table. I think it's sort of like if you're going to bake a cake. If you bake a cake and all the ingredients that you take to bake a cake separately, they're not that great. But once you put them together, you got a really delicious product, So, I kind of see that with you two guys. I think you're a very delightful couple, and I can see how coming into an organization, you could help teams understand how to work better together. So tell us a little bit about how we can identify the values of a relationship for a lasting team. That's for an effective team. That's one of the things that you mentioned you'll help us with.
Beverly, I'll address that in two perspectives. One perspective is dating with the possibility of entering a longer-term relationships, marriage, and so forth. But I also want to address that from a company, team, or workplace objective. Marty and I have a digital relationship course where we start out talking about those character qualities you want in a lifetime mate. And those character qualities are foundational. Quite honestly, you're probably not going to change those character qualities. And those are what you're looking for. And then how do you identify those character qualities you're looking for in a mate? And a potential long-term mate? Marty and I, by virtue of, some people would obviously understand, 55 years of marriage, we believe marriage is intended to be permanent, not trial and error. Just try it out, and if it doesn't work, let's just dispose of and go to another one. No, we believe that marriage is a lifetime commitment. And so spending a lifetime with a person who complements you is something we definitely stress, but character qualities. And then once a relationship has started, we have what we call a red flag questionnaire. And once you get to know each other, and I'll just say very briefly in the context of relationships, dependent on your backgrounds, whether you are from the same origins or not, many people have different family traits for birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and so forth. And you need to be able to learn of those traits with each other and be able to work with each other. Now, in a workplace environment, I would say from a program manager's perspective, you first off need to know yourself, know exactly who you are, your strengths, and you want people on your team who complement you. And so in that context, and it goes into a much, much broader conversation, but once you know yourself and you know the persons who complement you best, and I will say just very briefly, there are sometimes I always want to make a very informed decisions, but there's sometimes I don't have the tolerance to check out all the details. I want a person on my team who is very detail oriented. If there is a way that an idea can fail, I want for that person to study that, and I want to surface all the ideas we can to make certain the direction we want to go forward is give us the best probability of success. But I'll say in that context, it's okay to fail. I have to know myself that well enough that if we failed, we just discovered a way that won't work as well, but we're going to keep moving forward. Beverly, that can go into a much, much longer protracted workshop, but that just very briefly is my concept of finding people with whom you work best. Marty, you may have a little bit different perspective on that.
I'm going to go relationships first. If I were talking to a female or we were talking to a male, I would say you have an idea of what you want in a marriage, the character, the values, the integrity that you want to see in a person. So I would suggest you make a list of all those things that you like and what you want to see. And like Ron said, there can be different cultures, and you have to take that into consideration too. When it comes to employment, I think I would say learn the personality of your people that you're working with and their strengths and their weaknesses, and adapt to that, but be determined that you're going to work to get along with everybody.
Yeah. You guys really hit the nail on the head there when you talk about one, Ron, you were talking about how we need to hire people to get the job done and not people like us. I think sometimes people have that like me syndrome, and they tend to generate hiring managers and department leads tend to generate towards people that are like themselves. But that's not always the best best person to support your team. We need to hire someone who's going to get the job done. And Marty, when you talk about relationships, that is really just so I'm in such an alignment with you there, because when you make a list and you determine what character qualities this person needs to have to fit into the team and to fit into the organization and the culture and to get the job done. So, that is really, that's really great advice for our listeners. And I certainly hope that they take heed to that. As a disc CD personality, I live and work in the details. I need the details to be accurate, but I can be just a little bit dominant, but I do need the details to be accurate. So I tend to work and enjoy relationships with people who are more social than I, people who are more inspirational than I. So, that we have fun while we're getting the project completed. If not, if you're just like me, we're going to have analysis paralysis, and we're all going to be sitting there trying to get to, digging into the details, over and over again. So yeah, that's really great advice. I really like what you said there, particularly about the relationships. And it's interesting how you can relate marriage, which you've been very successful at, to building an effective team. It's really the same thing. It's marriage is a team, and it's really, the same thing when we're talking about business. So what would you say are some of the things that we need to do to interview when we're interviewing candidates? What are some of the things that we need to do to make sure we get people that complement our team? I do understand that you said we should make a list of the characteristics that we need, and we should make sure that we don't pick people necessarily like ourselves. But what are some of the other things that we can do in the interview process to make sure that happens?
Beverly, interviewing is very important. My experience is very few people know how to effectively interview. I do have a series where I help people, both the interviewer and the interviewee, with interviewing. And I am a person who believes the interviewee, and that is I'm the prospective employee. I help that person to ask the right questions of the prospective employer. And I want to know I am coming into a company who has a culture that complements me. And so I'm not going to necessarily know that on an interview, because sometimes we're very superficial. It could be maybe a 10, 15-minute interview and, a few questions back and forth, but I really don't know the inside of the company. I want to know, and I encourage the prospective employees to interview the interviewer to determine if the company with whom they're interviewing is that right company. But just a few things that, first off, from the interviewee perspective, study the company, look at their website. I'm an advocate of having the person know virtually as much as they can. Study the company's objectives, whatever vision, mission statements they may have, as whatever financial information that may be in the public domain, to get to know that. But from the interviewee perspective, I would hope I can leave this company knowing, yes, this is the right company for me. No, it is not. And so I help the interviewee determine what questions I want to ask from them, having studied their company. Is this the right culture? I'll say very briefly in a broader context, when there is harmony at home, harmony in the workplace, and harmony at church for those who go to church, we will be able to work through anything at all. And when I say harmony, it's not a matter of everything going well all the time, but do we have the right people, the right processes in place to overcome whatever obstacle we may be encountering? From the interviewer perspective, I want to know if this person has the personality, and I do encourage the interviewer to offer a DISC assessment of the person we're interviewing. If the person gives me the indication that, yes, they may qualify for the position for which I'm interviewing, but I need to know the person who is going to complement my team. Do I need a Beverly who is a person who can study the details? Because I don't have the tolerance for that, but I need a Beverly on my team who can go in depth. And I would ask you, Beverly, if there's any possibility an idea can fail, I would believe you can probably tell me exactly why, and because you study the details, and that's who you are.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then the corollary is, okay, Marty, I'm going to come to you and ask you just what it is that these people relate best with. Marty is somewhat reserved, but she and those like her are very much an integral part of my team. I need to know what makes them tick. And so we are wired, so to speak, with a personality and some of those traits. And so I want to, as an interviewer, go into an interview knowing what I'm looking for. And then I want to come out of the interview having a pretty good idea of, yes, this person is or is not the person I'm looking for. But then conversely, the interviewee, you do the same thing. You're interviewing the company. And it may seem almost counterproductive or counterintuitive, but if this company is not the one that I'm looking for, the one with whom I can function best, I can tell this person, thank you, but I don't think I'm the best fit for you. And so I go to another company. Better to do that than to say yes to a company because, well, it just feels good, but sometime later we feel that, well, no, this is not working out well. From an employer standpoint, it may cost me $65,000 to replace you based on lost productivity and so forth. And boy, when I go home and I'm not very happy, home life is not good, and I don't look forward to coming into work. Beverly, that's a long explanation, but a lot more can go into it in a workshop.
Beverly,
Awesome.
I want to say, sometimes people are in a situation where, I've got to have a job. So they might be a little intimidated at asking the questions that Ron just said of the company, but I want to encourage them to have that determination. I want them to have the confidence that to do this, even though they may not feel real comfortable with it, because you go into a situation and you're not happy and you don't do a good job. So make sure you know everything about the company and that it would be a good fit.
That's a great point, Marty, because so often, people are just looking for a job, and in relationships, people are just looking for a spouse, and they tend to settle for something that is less than what they really need or something less than they really want. And when we're looking at jobs, you kind of, the candidates go in saying, oh, I hope they choose me. I hope I get this job. But I would caution candidates also to remember who you are and remember the skills and the experience and the knowledge that you're bringing, and to feel confident in that. Like Marty said, so often they're so intimidated that they don't remember their worth and their value. And then you can end up in a job that does not suit you. And, depending on your personality and your lifestyle, you may stay in that job for years and years. And then you're unhappy, causing disharmony in the home, disharmony in the workplace. Those are really, really great points. And it's nice, Ron, that you have questions to give candidates, because they may not always, understand what they should be asking. Take the perspective, I would say to candidates, work from a perspective of, I am the value and they are, I'm bringing something to this company, not just, I hope they hire me and then I can get a paycheck, which I do understand because I've been in that position. So I do totally understand that.
That's well said. And I'll interject just very quickly here. From an employer standpoint, we want to attract and retain people. From an employee perspective, I want to hopefully go in with a longer term or long-term mindset. From an employer standpoint, I hope to have employees with a long-term mindset. What I mean by that is, I hope I don't bring in people who are say, well, I'll try it out for 6 months, and if it doesn't work, I'll just move on to something else. I understand very clearly the times of someone being with a company 50 years and the gold watch. We're likely not going to have that. But I do know what it is to have to rotate through people, find a person, and we're having to go through this process maybe once a year kind of thing. And I think most employers would benefit from employees with a longer term mindset.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And I, as someone who did just that, I stayed at my last company for 25 years. And when I was younger, I kind of moved around. I was a little restless and I didn't know exactly why, but the other companies were not offering or bringing to the table the things that my spirit needed to develop that long-term mindset. And at the time, I didn't know how to articulate that. I didn't exactly know what that was. But some of the things that I found that keep me loyal to a company is when they value me and they offer opportunities for my development, and they build relationships with me, and they invest energy, time, and money in me as an employee, and they see me as someone who has something to offer. When those things are not present, people tend to move around. People tend to bounce around and leave your company. And the dangers in that is that sometimes as you mentioned, Ron, it can cost a lot of money to replace an employee in terms of lost productivity and the whole hiring and recruiting process, and even the upskilling or the training process that has to occur to bring the new candidate or to bring the new employee up to speed. There's loss there. But, if you offer certain things to employees, I believe in most cases, they will stay with you and they will be loyal. So, those that's just been my experience, personally, and with the people that I've worked with. I've seen people disparage because they don't get promotions and they don't get new training and they're not developing, and there's no coaching and there's no direction and no opportunities, and then people tend to leave. So
Beverly, you were talking about you want the company or your company valued you. So you go in and you're not in exactly the position that you can excel in. Would the company still value enough to say, I think I have another position for you that you would better fit?
Most definitely. And have the courage to say that. But I think that's still at the bottom, the bottom of that, the core of that is what you guys talk about, which is relationships. I happen to think that relationship building is like the foundation, of a good employer-employee relationship environment. It's just that experience will be so much better when there's some form of a positive growth relationship. That's why I started this podcast, because I want leaders to understand that the culture of your organization is the soil in which all things grow. That you can't you just can't create a productive team that performs consistently, meets and exceeds goals and metrics if your culture doesn't allow that. So
And
yeah,
Beverly,
definitely.
you're right on, and a lot of thoughts. I thank you for stimulating a lot of thinking, and I want to integrate rather than dominate. But I will tell you that we as leaders need to create what I call as a psychologically safe culture within our company. Meaning, just like you said, Beverly, I want for you to feel comfortable. You can come to me and say, Ron, I just don't feel like I'm in the best position. I feel like I can be more productive if I were serving in another position. Well, there's some companies and some people that would say, well, Beverly, if you can't be happy where I'm putting you, then maybe you need to go to another company. You need to feel safe that I can talk with you about that. I'm going to give you one other example that is, for me, an indicator of whether I appreciate you or not. Let's just talk about birthdays, gift cards, and those kinds of things. If I give you a gift card and it is tailored very specifically to Beverly, I know what you like. And let's just say I know you like books. I know you like a particular restaurant. I know you like a play. I know you well enough to know, this gift card is not just a blank check. No, this is going to be tailored to Beverly because I know Beverly and I've taken the time to get to know her. And when we leaders, and the leader is the person responsible for creating that kind of culture. When we have that kind of culture, you're going to know, I feel like I belong here. And people stay or leave workplaces because of people, more so because of people, less so because of money. And so I'm looking for a safe environment. I'm looking for a workplace where I feel appreciated. I feel at home. Beverly and Marty, you two have captured it. It's my responsibility as a leader to ensure I have created that type of culture.
Exactly. 100%. So well said. Yeah, I'm right in line with you on that. I happen to be what I like to call a plant mom. You've got cat moms and you've got, puppy moms or whatever. I happen to be a plant mom, and I have lots of plants inside and outside my home, and I enjoy watching them grow. I give them what they need. Some of my plants like a lot of sun. Some of them will wither if I put them in too much sun. Some of my plants like a lot of water. Others will, just turn brown and wilt if I give them too much water. And it's my job to understand which plant needs which thing in order to grow, and I think that we can definitely relate that to team leaders. it's our responsibility as leaders to understand what our individual employees need to grow and to contribute successfully to the team.
You're
So
right on
yeah,
target. And I like
yeah.
your analogy that plants. And because you know
Mm-hmm.
plants, you know what will stimulate that plant's growth. Put them in
Right,
the
right.
sun, take them out of the sun, water, dryer, whatever it is. And
Mm-hmm.
Beverly, when we use that analogy with people, we know exactly what it is that will promote growth. We know exactly what it is that will stimulate thinking. And I can go in a little bit different direction. I want to create an environment where we encourage failings, because the innovative ideas are going to come from failures, and we're
Yeah.
moving on beyond. And so I don't want anyone to feel threatened that, well, I offered an idea, but it didn't work. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to move past that. We're going to always fail forward.
Exactly. You know, I say, let's give our people the grace and the space to make mistakes, because that's where the growth happens. That's where I experienced that personally with one leader who gave me a project, put me in charge of this project. And I was like, oh, no, I can't do this. I'm not ready, and she was like, yes, you are, and I made a couple of mistakes and she helped me fix them. She was right there to catch me. And as I grew in that project, I got stronger, I got smarter, I got better. And when I came out on the other end, I was so proud, as was she, but I was so proud of myself because she saw that in me and she gave me the space to make mistakes and to fail forward, which I did a couple of times. But we were able to fix it. We learned from it. We documented it as lessons learned and we moved forward, and she did not make me feel like I was a failure even when I failed. It didn't mean that I was a failure. So yes, let's give our people the grace and the space to make mistakes.
And Beverly, I'm going to believe, based on what you just said, you knew you're going to grow through your experience. She empowered and equipped you to move forward. You were not placed in a situation where it was an evaluated pass fail. No, she believed in you, which encouraged you to believe in yourself. You excelled, you grew through, and you became a better person, because that is the kind of environment that I will stay with, because we are working together. Together is an operative term.
Yes.
Beverly,
Marty?
just the other day, I had to say to him, just let me do my job. I know what I'm doing.
Oh gosh, Beverly, that can bring up another topic. That
yes.
Marty has strengths, and don't even think about doing something that is Marty's strength. Well, I was told more than a few times, you're in my territory, says Marty.
Yes. I often have to help my husband understand that, this is my thing here. I got it. I really do know what I'm doing. Just, let me move. Let me do what I do. So
right.
Yeah, let's talk really briefly about leadership traits and what leadership traits we need to keep our teams effective and productive. We know that we need to provide an area of psychological safety. We know that we need to provide an area of growth opportunity. But what traits would you say that leaders need to have in order to grow, quote unquote, effective teams?
That's a very broad and expansive topic, Beverly, but absolutely essential. That I would say, first off, we need to learn to lead ourselves. And that may seem very euphemistic, but leading ourselves. We need to know who we are. We need to know what vulnerabilities we have. I use the term, Beverly, we need to be appropriately vulnerable. And what I mean by that is, I don't mind telling people where I used to be. I'm not going to dwell on the past, but I will tell you, Beverly, yes, I used to think that I was dumb, stupid, and so forth, but I've overcome that. And so to be appropriately vulnerable means, for me, that I have overcome, I used to be, but it's in the context of failing forward. So for anyone who feels, no, that I'm not sure I have the confidence to do that, I could say legitimately, yes, I've been there. For anyone who says, I fear being fired, I fear whatever, I can, if I've legitimately been there, say, yes, I know how you feel, but I want to help you overcome that. And to me, being appropriately vulnerable is, yes, I was unemployed for 15 months. Yes, I've experienced various adversity, but I'm going to help you through that. And so I want to be able to identify with other people. A leader, for me, Beverly, is not a function of whatever words I have on a business card, what I have on a resume, but rather it is how I relate to people. People need to trust me. And so I think trust is earned, not demanded. I think respect is earned, not demanded. And so trust and respect are those things that are earned through our relationship with people. And as I relate with people, and Beverly, Marty, you will know as I relate to you whether I genuinely care or not. The word care to me is a universal term that has no, quote, language behind it. You will know through my actions if I care. And even if I don't speak your language, I do believe you can discern if I care through my actions and my interactions with you. And so the oft used expression, people don't know how much, people don't care how much you know until they first know how much you care, is very much an operative leadership trait, that people want to know I care. And so going back to interview, I care about you because you're an integral part of the team. I brought you on because of the traits, the strengths you have. Now, I want to nurture you. I want to have the environment, the culture that helps bring out the very best in you. And if you are late in coming in for work, I want you to know it's not a matter of penalizing you, but I care enough about you that I want to know that you are safe. And if you're stranded on the highway, I want you to know that I care enough about you that I do care. And so I call that mutual support. Beverly, it's a term we used in the military, mutual support. I care about you. Let's let each other know where we are. And so I care enough about you, not from a retribution standpoint that you're not here within the minute of, opening time, but I want you to know that I care about you. And so if you're not here by some amount of time, I care enough about you. I want to know that you're safe. But those are just some of the traits that we need in leadership. And when we develop and when we sustain those traits in an organization, we will retain people. And the word gets out, when we have the right culture, we're going to attract people into our company. Beverly, it all works together in very much a circuitous type of pattern.
Awesome.
Beverly,
Awesome.
I want to say I worked a job that I truly loved, and I worked with a guy that believed in me and believed that I could do the job. I also saw him with officers below him, that he would train them such that he would say to them, I want you to be better in my position when you get it than I am. So some leaders that is a threat to make someone better than them, but he wanted to train them to the point where they did a better job.
And Beverly, I'll advance that just a little bit further. 4 of the most powerful words in the English language are, I believe in you. Now, I may not verbalize those words, but when I exude that with my interactive behavior with you, Beverly, when you know that I believe in you, I'm going to give you maybe an assignment. At the moment, you think you can't do it, but I'm going to help you do it because I believe in you. Marty, the same thing. When I exude that as a leader, people are going to say, man, I'm telling you what, I took on a project and I didn't believe I could do it. But because Ron cared, because the culture of my company is, no, we're going to work together at this. You feel so much better. And Beverly, at the end, when you accomplish the goal, when we together accomplish that goal, we celebrate. And when we do that, we are all working together, and you can go home happy. And again, in the context of when there's harmony at home, harmony at work, harmony at church, man, we can work through anything and everything when the environment and the people are right.
Awesome advice and direction. This has been a very, very enlightening and inspiring discussion. I'm sure that someone, either candidates, prospective candidates, or interviewers or leaders, everyone has gotten something from this discussion. And I thank you both so much for joining me today and appearing on the show. And just, the things that you've given us, building relationships as a core. Leadership is not just a title, it's something that you actually do. And once you earn that trust and respect from your team, and you have to earn it, it's not given to you. You earn that trust and respect from your team and show them that you care and that they're important to you. You're going to build yourself a very awesome, productive, collaborative, high-performing team. And, make sure that we keep harmony, that we keep in harmony. And harmony is like, what we call the triple constraints in project management. If one is off, home, office, or church, if one is off, everything is off. So, we've got to keep that harmony. And just make sure that we give our team members an opportunity to fail. Leaders, that's where the growth is. Let them step out there. Let them, why not go out on a limb? That's where the fruit is. So, let's make sure that we give our people the grace and the space to make mistakes. So, Ron and Marty, when our listeners and viewers want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Thank you, Beverly. You can go to our website, which is thecooperculture.com. You can contact me at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, Marty, at thecooperculture.com. We always like a dialogue. I will always tell people, let's continue the dialogue. And as long as we can establish a dialogue, we can always work through anything to understand each other. But that is a way to get started. Marty and I like to speak. I am more of a public speaker than Marty, but the two of us together work so well together that I would like to have the opportunity, or would welcome the opportunity, to speak on any of the topics with which we have discussed today. And I do have a speaking profile on espeakers.com. And I'm Ron Cooper, F4 pilot. That's how you can identify me when you discover me there. But that's a couple of ways that people can contact us, Beverly.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to put all that information in the marketing materials. So folks, if you need a dynamic duo, I'm going to call them, a team to come and help your organization advance your staff to greater loyalty and trust and high performance, get in touch with the Coopers, because they can definitely help you, as you've heard a bit of today. So we're going to sign off here. Now, again, I thank you guys for joining me. I am Beverly Hathorn, the host and owner of Strategic HR Consultants. And if you'd like to hear more on team building cultures and what you can do to create communicative, collaborative, high-performing teams, tune into our show. Tune into the podcast. You can find the podcast, Team Building Cultures, on Apple and Spotify. We're both video and audio. And you can basically find us anywhere you get your podcast. So just tune into us. And I hope that you will tune into my YouTube channel, Strategic HR Consultants, and maybe subscribe so you can go and listen to all upcoming shows, be notified of upcoming shows. Thank you so much, Coopers, for joining me today. I really appreciate you. You're a great team, and I'm sure that you can be very successful in helping organizations. Thank you so much,
Ms. Beverly.
Thank you for
All
having us.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Team Building Cultures. We hope we have delivered helpful and enlightening information to help you create your dream team. Join us next time